The Tao that can be named is not the Tao. Well, I'm going to attempt to name the Tao. Okay? Going to attempt to do it just for a little bit of clarity so that we know what we're shooting for. Now, granted, in the long run, to be able to name it would sort of put it aside as something that's easily understood. It isn't. It's something we have to experience, so therefore unnameable. But I'm going to try to talk about it so we can know what the target is and what the goal is to shoot for, okay? So we're going to hit on a couple themes using all the various philosophers and various concepts about what the Tao is, even though they don't say it other than the Tao itself. In Philippians 4:6, peace that surpasses all understanding. That's the Tao. It's one of the easiest ways to consider what it is. It gives you a great sense of peace, and you don't really understand it. It's far beyond something we could even explain to each other, but it's such a deep, fundamental sense of peace, it surpasses all understanding. That's the Tao. The Tao itself is the way, and that's what it means in Chinese, the way. Well, Jesus in John 14:6 says, I am the way. I have a whole video on this channel, I am the way. And it's about how the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is the Tao. And Jesus was the embodiment of that. He was the Tao, and he showed us the way. Well, what is the way? How do we find that way? Well, first of all, you find it inside of yourself. You are the light. Matthew 5:14. That means everybody has it. Jesus said he's the light. We're the light. We're all the Tao. The first verse again says that the Tao is the origin of all things, right? It's the mother of all things. It's everything. I say over here, it's the starting line. It's because it's the origin of all things, but it's also the finish line because it's our goal, okay? We're all the light. Well, what is that? Well, how do we work on that? In Corinthians, love is patient. Love is kind. It doesn't envy. It doesn't boast. It doesn't insist on its own way. It's not irritable. It's not resentful. It endures, it hopes, and it sees in a mirror dimly, and on and on. The fact is, these are a pretty good parameter for whether or not you're being the Tao or getting closer to the Tao. Actually being these qualities is what the Tao is. It's flexible, and it's soft, it's understanding, it's peaceful, it's tolerant, on and on and on. And these are qualities that are all found in Corinthians because that is what the Tao is. And if you're not it, in that same passage, it says you're a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. So a good barometer of whether or not we're close to the Tao is, are we these things? If you're irritable, you don't got the Tao. If you're resentful, don't have the Tao. And when you try to talk about these things, or you try to teach people how to be and what to do, you'll come off as a noisy gong and a clanging cymbal. In fact, you can feel it inside yourself if you're paying attention to it. It's a good way to think of what the Tao is. In the Quran, Muhammad says there is no compulsion in religion because truth stands out clear from error. That's because this is an experience that we have inside of ourselves that's obvious. You don't need anybody else's approval or permission or even Buddha says in the Kalama Sutta, there's no book or a teacher or a preacher or a pastor or anything that could guide you there. It's your own personal experience. This is the very truth that the Tao talks about that surpasses all understanding, and it's clear. Once it's in you, you have the light, you know what it is. You know it's authentic. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, when you perceive unity in all beings, you receive the infinite spirit. Well, what's that unity? Well, we've all got this inside of us. Every single person was born with this light. Jesus says we are the light. This is clear from error. What's the error? When we think we're separate, when we think we're different, when we think you're bad because or you're good because. That's not true. From the Tao, it just is. That's Rumi. It is what it is, okay? It's inside all of us. Your job is singular. Find that one thing. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Once you do that, because you have the Spirit, you have the Spirit, you have the Spirit, you have the Tao, you have the Tao, you have the Tao, we all do. Once you know that and you perceive that, that's what you experience. That infinite spirit that Krishna is talking about is peace, and it surpasses all understanding. It is the starting line, it's the finish line, and that finish line is best understood from the eightfold path of Buddhas, and it's the eighth step, which is samadhi, which is the experience ultimately of the mental state, dzogchen, the awareness of what the true self is or what the false self is. And the recognition that, as Buddha said, we're all Buddha and we all have Buddha nature. There, I just drew the Buddha nature. It's likened unto a flame or a light of a candle, and it's found inside each and every one of us. And it's a energy, and it emanates from our spiritual hearts. And that is something that he says must be experienced. When asked the most important commandment, Jesus does not say, don't kill, right? Or don't steal or cheat and lie and any of that kind of stuff. He says in Mark 12:29, the Lord is one. Well, a good way to think of the Tao is it's the Lord because it guides us from inside ourselves Your heart knows whether or not you're doing the right stuff or you're thinking the right way. If you're resenting, your heart feels it. If you're fearful, your heart feels it, right? It's the Lord, it's the shepherd, it'll guide you. It's inside you, it's inside all of us. And it's one because it's in you and you and you and you and you. And it's in everybody. Everybody has this inside of them. And once you perceive that, as it says in the Course in Miracles, you could perceive the light inside each person and you don't have to pay attention to the darkness. That's how we continue to grow the light, by perceiving it inside of everyone. That's how we're all one, because we're all the light. And in closing, in the Tao itself, verse 37, where is it? One finds the anchor of the universe within oneself. Instead of looking to the external, looking to anything physical, to try to gain some sort of approval from anyone or any type of being, or to try to curry favor with other human beings, all we have to do is learn how to find this inside ourselves. It's our singular task. It's also known as not the ego. Okay, the ego is the thing that separates, the ego is the thing that judges and it shames, and it makes us fearful and all that. We have to reverse that. And when we reverse that, we've crucified the ego. What do we find? We find the anchor of the Tao inside ourselves.